we go.
Take 2. Take 3.
Dr. Knaak, next, Facade and Design Studio by Vicona and Partners. That's not a building site. What do we do here?
It's not a building site. We are in Frankfurt. This is the next studio. It's a showroom of facade construction, facade details, facade materials. Nice place. And we're going to see Steffi Neubert. She's one of the central person at Emma Pfenninger & Partner, a facade consultants company from Switzerland, doing super nice, super interesting projects. And she's going to talk about facade design and engineering. So the discipline we actually educate for as discipline.
Perfect. Let's go inside.
Hi.
Hi, Uli.
Hi.
Nice to meet you again. It's quite a while.
Steffi, thanks for being available for this.
Yes,
and
you're
as we discussed, you as a facade consultant, someone doing all the detail work for the facades. What are the strategies for design? When you meet an architect, when you come to a project and you need to help them to find the material and the system, what to do?
What to do? First thing is to listen. Because the architects, they always have ideas, and you have to understand the big idea behind the project. So first you listen, then if you're lucky, they have already a little model, either in real or in the computer. Then they have some drawings, and then you try to find out what is the intention of the design, try to find out how large, how big the building is, and choose according to that the right construction. So in general, what we like is prefabrication. If it's possible, we would like to work with unitized systems, which can be prefabricated and factory pre-glazed, that the finished module will arrive on site. But there's areas with special constructions or the constraint of price, of cost, and then we would go for stick system. In the ground floor level, we have often stick systems because those areas are higher. And then in the upper floors, if it's something which is very repetitive, we have unitized systems. But as I said, it's in general, and you have to look and to listen to find out what is the best construction.
And if they get crazy, if they do weird things, if they want to get a flying piece?
Then it's getting interesting. In a way, what I like best is if architects have a clear vision. A crazy vision doesn't matter, but it has to be a clear vision. The worst is if someone doesn't know what they want. But if there is the intention, then it's the challenge, and then it's a mixture. We're a team of 20 people in our office, and we do brainstorming, and there is always a solution. It's just trying to search for it.
There's always a solution, which is a real, wording for an engineer to help designers. Levels of facade design. In which levels do we deal? General detailing, detail design, execution design, tender process. What's first, what's last, and what to take care of?
Okay, as you started already, when we first meet an architect, either he has won a competition or he just got the contract, or he even comes and asks us to help him with the competition. So first is the competition, where we might be on or not. And then the first stage is the design stage, where the architect has a 100 scale or 1x200 scale. There we start doing the first drawings to give rough dimensions, giving a rough cost, because with all design, never forget there's someone who has to pay for it.
True.
And
True.
that's very important, because in very rare cases, it's a high budget. Lots of projects have to be developed and also to meet the budget. Next stage is then detailed design. Now we go for more details like door details, the
Ground floor.
Ground floor, yeah, but also with waterproofing. The link to the waterproofing, the drainage, and then it's gutters and also the roof details.
Is this the stage when you make the decision for this system or a different system?
No, that's already right in the beginning. This is really in the beginning, in the first stage, we make the decision.
So it's aluminium, it's this type of system, unitized stick system as system, and then in the detail design, this really gets down to details in all corners, all edges, every part of the...
Yeah, maybe not all edges, but the really important edges that the company can give a price.
And then, say, design is done, it needs to get to the market. So you need to produce some kind of tender documents, and then someone applies for it, gets the contract, and they need to do an execution design.
Exactly, that's the way how things work. So for the tender documents, we have a whole set of drawings defining the different facade types, but there's also a specification which will then be turned into the contract for the execution company. And according to the country, I would say, a style of a price list, where the quantities are in or not in. That's very different through Europe, how things are done with the cost, with the price. And then the facade company takes everything over. They restart on a blank sheet, doing their drawings, and we are going to check the drawings. That's then the principle of 4 eyes, because they redo it and we check it, and therefore we make sure nobody forgot something.
So now we go on site, and one of the questions which comes up when you see very, say, tight sites in cities is the decision for a certain system influenced by the site. Is this part of your design process?
This is part of our design process, but that's done quite in the beginning. So that's like the first stage we do. We decide according to the position what is feasible and also to the size of the building. And that's why I was saying in the beginning, we often go for unitized systems which can be prefabricated, which could be stored like maybe 20 kilometers away from the building site, and then it's just in time that they get delivered. There's no storage place, or that the company knows the distance and then just sends it out of the factory. We are not involved really in the site management. We come on site to check the installation of the first elements before we even come to check mock-ups. And then we check that the vapor barrier, that the water barriers are installed in the right way. And in a way, we can train the people on site, say that's important, that's what they have to check, and then they can follow it up with all the elements. And if they figure out, or if they're not sure, if there's a problem, then they ring us. What we are interested is to look inside. So what you see here, that's what we are interested in. When the whole facade is installed, in the end, I always say, then it's more the architect and the client. They can check the surfaces, they can check the glass. We help with all the norms, saying that's conform to the norm or not. But yeah, running the job of looking, there's no scratch, that's other people who are regularly on site who can do that.
So your quality control part is mainly about the function of the facade, getting it airtight, making sure that the water barrier works well. And then if things go wrong, that's when someone from you is coming to the site, then things are, say, really technically wrong. Geometry doesn't fit. Some kind of components are somehow penetrating the facade. That's when...
Oh, then things are really wrong. Yeah, but if there's like penetration of things, that means already in the planning. There was a big problem that the areas were not respected. It's rather when the surface, I don't know, has bubbles, when there's water in the building, when... What do we have for problems?
You don't have problems. Cut.
No, yeah.
Thanks. Thank you for the interview and the time.
No, it was nice meeting you again. Hope to see you soon again.
Faster than last time.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye-bye.